A very good evening to everyone who is watching us right now. We welcome all of you to the AIESEC Sri Lanka podcast, Season 3. Creativity without constraints is our tagline. And my name is Ashinsani Veerasingham.
And I'm Kavesh Kaparera, your moderator for Season 3 of podcast brought to you by AIESEC Sri Lanka, just like Ashi said.
All right.
Right,
so,
Ashi,
yeah.
about AIESEC. What is this? What is AIESEC? Let's take them through a little.
Yeah, let's take everyone through what AIESEC is. AIESEC Sri Lanka was established in 1995 as a member chapter of AIESEC International, which has been creating a positive impact through international experience-centered leadership development to drive this country for the betterment of youth in future. And Kavi, right now, as active participation, like active membership, only they have 1,000 plus nationwide, and social projects they're running currently is 100 plus annually, and the presence in 15 universities in Sri Lanka, and they exchange experiences about 1,500 annually, and presence in social media they have 50,000 outreach.
That's like a huge network working for a great cause. And I think both of us, you and I, have been part of AIESEC for some time for their projects in and out. And I think we have experienced how much these youngsters come together to do bring down volunteers to help the people in need. And I think that's so much effort that they're putting in together as youngsters. And it's good for us to see them coming up because they are going to be our next generation as well. And here we are with another episode, another chapter of their series and their journey in AIESEC, a fraternity, to bring out the individuals or bring out or nurture and help them improve themselves as individuals for better personalities tomorrow. Right.
Exactly.
So
just like you said, Kavi. Yeah, just like
Yes.
you mentioned, like we've been part of a few of their projects throughout, and we know how dedicated they are in bringing up youth and working towards youth and, making a change in the country and the society. And that's amazing. And that's why you and I are also a part of this, saying yes to help the youth going forward in the country. So let's coming into the AIESEC podcast. Have you do you have any idea about the podcast of AIESEC, Kavi, before?
Now, I'd like you to walk through what podcast is, and I'll tell you how things started and where we are now with season 3.
Yeah. So AIESEC Sri Lanka have been conducting podcast seasons throughout, and this is our season 3. We are starting today, and this is our very first episode. The hosts are coming to you today. But beforehand, they've had their season 1 and season 2 throughout. Would you like to take us through the seasons?
Yes. So AIESEC podcast started off with season 1, which was about leadership. And likely they had close to 12 episodes, which they brought in young leaders, helping to inspire young leaders. Rather, they brought in entrepreneurs and known personalities around the country to speak to these youth of the country, to help them to aspire them be better inspirational leaders in the future. And they moved on to season 2, which was through the eyes of a trendsetter. Now, again, 12 episodes with 10 very known personalities of Sri Lanka, bringing the insights and their point of view of how they see of trend setting in Sri Lanka. Because I think the world has evolved, and now we are on a digital platform, a digital era. We move ahead with a new normal, and this trend setting is a thing that is coming up. And out of all those two, we've built leaders, we've set trends, and here we are, because creativity is something that changes and gives a different touch to it. So here we are with creativity without constraints, being the tagline for season 3. Here we are.
Here we are for season 3. Creativity without constraints is our tagline this season. And before we move forward with the introduction of season 3, I would like to take you through the objectives for this season. The objective of season 3 is to empower young people to adopt a creative thinking and to outline creative strategies that can be taken into consideration in the respective fields, and also to highlight innovation in relation to creativity. I think innovation is all about creativity. And before we move forward, Kavi, we should also give kudos to the organizing team, production of the national showcasing team of AIESEC Sri Lanka, for coming up with such initiatives and taking it forward as a great project.
Agreed.
here we are, season 3 podcast. Right, Kavi. So let's talk about creativity. Now, I'm sure a lot of people must be thinking, okay, creativity without constraints. What are we really going to talk about throughout
Totally,
12
totally.
episodes? We are bringing 12 episodes, and right now you're watching the very first episode with us
That's
today.
right. So creativity, I think it has different, like you and I would have different interpretations of this, right, Ashley? And
Yeah.
like I think most of them would have already seen the introduction videos of the host, and I think we talk a little bit of creativity there as well. So for me, it's about how we build a different uniqueness to ourselves, or how we stand out from others. Because it is true that the fact that you and I are different, we are a different UNA, a unique DNA. But
Yeah.
sometimes in life we tend to follow someone and we fall in the track of copying them as well. But it's about the creativity that we bring into life and the things we do that makes us different from one another, and it gives a total different touch to what we do. And it also helps us in taking ourselves, our true selves, the genuine true selves, to an audience as well. And that's where when we connect with people, that helps us, the sincerity helps us connect with people as well, and also build a brand for ourselves, I believe. So
That's right.
that's a little about creativity from my end. So actually, what do you think of creativity?
I think I would agree with you 100%, Kavi, on that. It's all about bringing something new to the table, and that's what makes you unique. Now, for example, you and I'm sure to talk about you and I will get into the latter part. But,
Sure, sure.
both of us are moderators, but we have our different styles. Both of us are in the same industry, following, literally having kind of the same titles, right?
Totally.
But there's something unique about us, and that's the uniqueness which carries us forward. And sometimes it's
Exactly.
also the competitive advantage when you go forward, right? Because there's this unique factor about you, not just because you have a title. Now, this is what I also have a strong belief in. Like a lot of people in, especially the youth, and even the
Yes,
parents are sort of responsible for this, where they want their children to follow a specific formula in life, where you go to
that's right.
school,
That's right.
you pass all exams, and you do O levels, and then right after you do A levels, and after A levels, you have to get a degree. And after a degree, soon after the degree, get your master's and then PhD, on and on. And it's just a rat race at sometimes. And there are a few people, probably like you and I, who broke the chain sometimes. We What's the use of having all these titles if you can't really apply that in your day-to-day or the practical life?
Agreed,
um,
actually. Agreed.
yeah, so that's where your creativity comes. You do what you want to do in a different way, different to others. So that's what creativity is also to me as well.
And
Now,
like
having
actually, just adding to what you're saying as well, I think the
yeah,
framework you said is right there, because I think you and I have experience, or most of us have experienced that this framework does bring out people with qualifications, but sometimes they're unable to apply that into their real lives. And I also
exactly,
think ISAC is a different platform which turns this around. Because if you look
that's
at
right.
the individuals working with us, the community, the organizing committees, the production crew, this, that, and the other, they have a level of creativity that we do not see from the other random individuals that follow the same framework rather. So I think
Yeah.
ISAC has also been a big contributor in their society as well in terms of the youth. And
Yeah.
just want to add to that with what you were saying, and back to you to continue,
No,
Ashley.
that's perfectly right, because we're not putting any educational qualification down. You need the
Agree.
academics, but there has to be a parallel run, right? Like it's a train track, literally. Like one track goes into professional, and one track, your right brain and your left brain has to be working at the same time. So what I meant was, it's not do not do qualification just because you want those titles
That's right.
below your name, to say BBA or BSc and MBA. It's important, but what's more important is being able to apply it, coming up with something new. Because if the ones who are creative only has come up with the syllabus that you all are studying. So along with while following what they have brought up for you, why don't you also come up with something creative and contribute to the society? It's all about taking and giving something back.
Agreed. Agreed.
With that, yeah. So Kavi, I did something crazy. So how
Right.
technology restricts our minds. Okay,
It does. It
uh,
does.
especially Google. When you ask what creativity is, if you go and type it on Google, you're not being creative in finding a definition for creativity. So that's why I thought I'll first give my creative idea, and I also want to bring out what Google says about it and how it actually
Nice,
restricts
nice.
your
Let's
mind.
do this. Let's do
So
this.
yeah, so Google, when I type it on Google, what creativity meaning, it says the use of imagination or original ideas to create something, which is, inventiveness. So this is, I mean, the definition is right,
Right.
but, Google can restrict you still. You can go beyond and you can also come up with something of great meaning to creativity, maybe.
I think, yeah, the definition is right, but the way you define it could also be creative if you do not use Google.
Yeah,
That's more or less what we get
it's
out of it.
the individual perspective, right? Of everyone.
Totally. Exactly.
So,
Agreed.
with that, now this is season 3, episode 1. So you must be wondering, what are we really doing in our episode 1? We are going
Yeah.
to talk about each other, or rather, we're going to talk about ourselves.
Agreed.
Because, like we said, now throughout this season, we're going to bring different personalities from different industries to talk about how creativity is important in their life, in their fields of
Careers.
industries, fields of
That is right.
careers. So we're going to bring a lot of different personalities. We're not going to reveal the set of speakers today. It will
That's
be
the curiosity.
revealed very soon. Yeah. We don't want to kill the buzz. We don't want to kill the curiosity. So let the curiosity go on. But for today, here you have the two hosts, Kavi and I. We're coming from a different industry, which is for the ones who are interested in the field of media, to becoming professional compeers, voice artists. So let me actually, Kavi, introduce you with your title so that everybody knows what we are doing today and before we lay the grounds in our profession.
True.
So, yeah, let me take it officially.
Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the host of AIESEC podcast, season 3, Creativity Without Constraint, Kavishka Pereira. In introducing him officially, he is a news anchor, a compeer, a voice artist, a public speaker, and a trainer. Ta-da!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this formally as well. My very good friend. Actually, we share a lot of things, right?
Oh, yeah, we do.
When I read out the descriptions also, they'll feel that we share a lot of things. We share the same birthday month. We share almost the similar school, right? So a lot of things. So ladies and gentlemen, my wonderful co-host for podcast season 3 brought to you by AIESEC Sri Lanka, creativity without constraints, and presenting to you Ashin Sani Veerasinghe, who is an accredited trainer, an LLP practitioner, TV personality, voice artist, professional compeer, and also an award-winning public speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, you're my wonderful co-host, Ashin Sani Veerasinghe.
Let me take the bow. Thank you. So, yes, that's who we are. So, coming into our fields, let's talk a little bit through our fields, Kavi. So that because from the next episode onwards, you and I will be talking to other people and bringing their specialty and creativity out. So this episode, let's talk about us. So you told me, Kavi, your definition of creativity. Okay, let's get into a discussion about, you and I are in the same field. So how creativity is important in our field. Probably fields, because so many salads in our plate. Let's take it one by one, shall we? So why don't you take it forward in your news anchoring career?
Nice. So actually, news was not something that I thought I'll be into, but both of us ended in news. If you remember, walk back to 2018, 2019. And if you look at how you and I started news, we never got a training, right? We were just pushed into the deep sea. We were done one screen test. Next day you come, you're like, go do the news, right? And we knew nothing about it. But there was something that we built over time with our public speaking and the fraternity of Toastmasters also being very helpful in our journey of life, that we were able to add a different color to how we projected the news, right? Related to it to the audience, and how it was different to a random newsreader as well. And I think both you and I, apart from news and all of the professions that we do as TV personality, as a compeer and all this, both you and I would also have had heard this comment or compliment from the audience saying that we have a different voice or we have a different color, or rather, they've heard they've heard these household names, right? And then they compare us to them, or they say after them, it's you're like the best voice we've heard. We've heard these compliments, right?
Yeah,
All humble,
that's right.
not taking it to our heads, but all humble.
Yeah.
But trying to bring out the fact why we hear them is probably because we add that different color, that creativity comes out, right? Being genuine, adding the emotion to what we say, and pushing it to the audience accordingly. So I think that's how news was also different to us. And now getting back into news again, I think there's a lot to learn as well now. Again, still it's not that we are the best, we know how to do this, nothing like that. It's a lot of learning curve down the line. So it's bringing our color as well, but also learning from the professionals and the seniors who've been there, getting the best out of them as well. But most importantly, keeping what's yours, adding that touch, that personal touch, your color. So it is different, right?
Yeah.
So that's from my end actually on news anchoring. And let's get on to you with comparing. And as a TV personality as well, I think
Um,
they'd love to hear about that.
oh yeah, for sure. I think about news, you very well said it. Like we have our different style of anchoring news. That's why you say news anchors.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have their different categories. And I think that is why I never thought, I mean, being a news anchor has been a dream for so many years in my life, ever since I was a childhood. I used to do elocution, and then they used to have these
Oh, yeah.
festivals.
Yes.
So during festivals, I used to do news reading, and my mom used to say, one day I would like to see you on TV. I
Give
never
you
took it serious, but I always loved it. But somehow or the other, I think we had a great switch in giving opportunities. If you remember when I first got it, I wasn't able to go. I was like, "Kavi, go for the screen test." And then soon as he went, after a year, when I was looking forward to it, he called me in as well. So this is how it went. And after I became news anchor, I think it's the passion. So what I want to highlight in this is, along with creativity, you cannot be extra creative, or you have to be, or I'll put it in a positive way to say, you have to be creative in an area that you're interested in. I think that automatically comes to you. If somebody comes and say to me, start doing a research, why don't we do a research about a company and put it out and blah blah blah, I'm not interested at all, and you will never get my creativity in that area. So this is something really important, something you love. You will always get your creativity morning, day, night. Whenever you go to sleep, you will have that in your mind to say, okay, what's the best thing I can do tomorrow to improve? That's automatically going to come. So that's the perseverance and the consistency and the passion, everything working together for something really creative and unique to come out. So news, yes, I don't think I'll be able to get into the top 3 news readers the first year itself, Kavi, if I wasn't really creative and being good enough. Because being good is never good enough. That's a statement that I would love to make today. Being good is never good enough. You always have to keep on, from good to better and better to best. You have to keep on climbing the ladder. And coming into talking about TV personality, like you said, you have to always grab opportunities in whatever the area that you're interested in, where your passion is, literally. So I changed my TV station like recently after 2 years. Earlier, I was working at a TV station, and then now currently I'm attached to, as a TV station, I'm attached to Other Derana. So when I went there, there's like a whole new change, how the culture is, how everything changes. As long as you want to be you, as long as you want to be creative, first, when you can keep your first step somewhere, you've got to learn the background. You've got to study whatever that's relevant to your the profession. Kavi, earlier there were times that you and I had to put our own makeup, and there was Easter Sunday, there was COVID coming in, and there were layoffs. So sometimes we didn't have makeup artists at one point, we didn't have hairdressers at one point. So there was a time we used to go 2 hours early for news, and Kavi, of course, there's nothing much needed, but girls, we need our makeup, we need our hair done. So sometimes you have to go beyond your boundaries just to deliver that perfect
That's right.
job. Yeah, so for so many months, probably, yeah, for so long, I was doing my own makeup, and for TV, doing makeup for TV isn't a joke.
Joke.
um, yeah,
Trust.
like those embalm kind of makeup,
Yeah,
and the
that comes
hair
up.
to everything. So to get our final product out, to get our final product out, we have to go through certain paths. But soon as
Yeah.
I came to other than right now, where I do their English bis 24 talk. So when I came there, it was all new to me at one point, because even though it's a recording, just sharing my experience, even though it's a recording that goes, the recording is a one take. It's a live one take,
One
and
take.
with earpieces on, and I'm still getting used to it. I'm learning something every day when I go to the studio and the set. But thankfully, the makeup, hair, everything got sorted there as well. So we're settling. So um you know it's not about going with the flow. As soon as you understand the backgrounds, as soon as you do your own study, it's then about putting your creativity in and taking it forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle.
Agreed, Ashley. Because I think even now, when I'm at the studio for news and all that, I think for news, as much as we project at the emotion and all that, sometimes we hear the intros and the extros, how things are unique to each person,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Uh, I think that differentiates the reader a lot, and the listener knows, oh, okay, this is the person who's going to read today. From the intro itself, the way you say good evening, good morning, or how you welcome your listeners
yeah,
onto the news or whatever
yeah.
program you do, that itself creates a different tone, and they are eagerly waiting for you to do the news, right? There are listeners who are waiting for a specific person to do the news, right? So
That's
that
right.
differentiates each and every one of us individually, and also adds a different color and makes us a household name by time. I think that's how the compeers, these household names, people in the industry, TV personalities, compeers, have built their name over the years, right? Because even now they have been remembered for the voice, for how they delivered the
That's
event,
right.
how they presented at the event, and all that,
Like even now when
right?
we
So us
even
being
now, sorry, even now when we say, Arunda is Bandar Naik, Clifford, the voice with the
yeah,
name itself. You
you
can
know it.
literally hear their voice in your head, right?
That is right.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. And also when we put out something and when a person in the audience draws a connection of us to them, it's so much for us. Because we know they've been in the industry so long and they're like a household name. You tell the name, you know the person, you know the voice.
yeah,
And when you're like, after this person's voice, it was like your voice that I love the most. Some a
yeah,
comment of that sort tells us that we've been
yeah,
successful in
that's right.
what we've done. It's a passion as well, just like you said, Ashley, and it's all that hard work we put into
Yeah,
as well to be creative
yeah,
and to
that's
be
right.
different.
I think it's also about, while having your passion, creativity, everything inside, it's also setting goals for yourself. That's the next
Agreed.
important thing I would like to talk about. Setting a goal. For example, if I'm to share from my own life experience, I was working at a corporate at a
Yeah.
very early age of my life. And then I understood a few years down that, of course, I learned a lot being in that corporate, that in that corporate world, I found myself as a trainer. I was like, oh wow, there's something, there's a path in this.
Yeah.
And then found myself. But still, did I really want to, because we were working 12 hours a day in that company. So did I really want to go to office at 7 and then come home, get out of office at 5? Is that the life I want? Was a triggering point.
I remember
And
we
then
having these conversations back then when
exact.
you were
Yes,
working
we
there.
used to have this conversation. So every time
Yeah.
I kept getting opportunities for TV, I kept getting opportunities for TV commercials or whatever. That, and events, especially people used to call and ask, Aren't you doing an event? Can you just come and compete at our event? But because I was at a corporate, I was not allowed to do any of those. And then that started triggering. It just,
Yeah.
kept on. That rush was real. Then I had to decide for myself that I'm quitting the corporate job. And everybody kept saying, why are you quitting a job? Why are you quitting a corporate job? A girl of
Yeah.
22 years old would love to, experience and then decide whether you want to be on your own. But But no, I knew it was time and I wanted to quit. So I gave my resignation. I gave my resignation to a conglomerate in Sri Lanka without having another job, without knowing what I'm going to do next. It's just I did what I wanted to do. So sometimes in life, you and I and everyone else, we have to decide for ourselves and take that stance, stand our grounds and make a decision. And it's actually a risk that we are taking. So what wrong can actually happen? So when you make a decision, you know, most of the time you're so scared to make a decision because it's a huge risk. But here's my take on it. You make a decision, you have two paths. It'll either lead you to the right path or it'll lead you to a path of learning. You never call it failure. You fail, you get up, it'll lead you to a path of learning. That's how it goes. So when I quit, and then when I started getting opportunities, I started looking for opportunities for whatever I love. Then only I got involved with Pulse as a presenter. So then I went like, oh my God, I'm doing something I love. Because at that point, it wasn't money for me. It was about, you know, that adrenaline rush to do something great, to be creative and find my own ways. So yeah, that's all about creativity and how things have led for me.
It's not about merely being happy with what you have. It's about that self-satisfaction deep inside you. You know, when you're stuck to somewhere and you're not doing something you're passionate, you're dull. You can see that in your face.
That's right.
You have that hectic job going on. You see it in your face, and the moment you move out of it and you do something that you love, it's a vibe, and you push it to the audience as well. People around you see that you're happy as well. And I think that's about taking the risk and being creative in what you do as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Having that said, and I'm sure that applies to all our areas now. I mean, if Kavi and I start talking, this day will just go like this because we are talkers, like you can see. That's our specialty. We respect our voice because that speaks for us. So yeah, this creativity factor, I hope we were able to share something about our professional life and what we do in our lives. So this applies in every angle. Even what I say is, even if you're making a dessert at home, the creativity factor applies. This is where people go wrong. People think when you sit to do something big only, you have to be creative, you have to do that and this and, you know, whatever not. No, in whatever the way, even, you know, Kavi and I talking right now, even if you just draw like an unconscious drawing on your table, creativity comes in. So why I took a dish is what, so here's something I don't like when girls say, I can't cook. Okay, I am not being, you know, and sometimes when they say they can't cook, they want soon go into the title of feminism. Why should I cook? No, these are social taboos. Don't get involved. I mean, personally, I wouldn't never get involved in such, you know, forms of saying, you know, I can't cook, I'm a feminist. You know, why should I cook? Why can't a man cook? No, yes, there has to be a gender balance. You know, a man should be able to cook, a woman should be able to cook. But if you're saying, so when you say, why I don't like is, personally, this is my personal opinion. I'm sorry if this is offensive to anyone. But, you know, when you say you can't cook, there's nothing for you can't cook. Kavi, why can't you, like, you know, put a sandwich together, you know, do something?
Agreed.
So that creativity, doesn't creativity involve, like, you know, taking an egg and, you know, putting some cheese? There's no recipe for that.
Yes. Agreed, Ashley, because if someone asks me whether I can cook, I say I can cook. But I can't cook everything around the world, right?
That's right.
But there are little things that I myself have found that I could cook. Right. Because even recently when my mom was at hospital, I was like, I got this idea of maybe I'll do a salad for her. And I did a salad. I did not have a recipe. I just brought things from a food city. I just put things in and out. It turned out to be good. It was the creativity that, or the mind instinct. It's also the instinct as well that drives you towards what you want to do as well. With the creativity in mind. So So yes,
So that's
everyone can
exactly.
cook
So
like
even a
anyone can
dal
dance.
curry, when I get my mom's dal curry is different, my dal curry is different because I just put whatever I want to put. So that's where. So a simple factor which we try to drive today is
True.
why creativity is important and how creativity can take you a very long way in your careers, in whatever you do, in your education. Even if you're, let's say, in education, how you can apply creativity. If you're, let's say, you're an accountant, you're trying to do a sum, you can find your own way than what the lecturers asked you to do. I have done it
That's right.
when I was
That's right.
following, ACCA to everything. I have found my own way of, I love shortcuts. I don't like long cuts. So I have found my own way. So that's creativity. Just apply it anywhere that you want. To girls, I say, even
Agree.
when drawing an eyeliner, there's no hard and fast rule. You draw it the way you want.
Want it.
you know?
True
Yes.
enough. True
So
enough.
with
True
that,
enough. And also, see, as public speakers, if we bring that platform a little as well, I think
yeah,
moving with us, a lot of people who are into public speaking, when I have been to that network and fraternities as well.
yeah,
So something we see at times is that they want to be rigid in the structure wise, right? There's a certain way they want to start their speeches. There's a certain body that they want to restrict themselves into in the speech, and there is a certain way they want to end their speeches. But I think where some of us, or the few of us, stand out when it comes to public speaking is that we bring a total different touch to it as well.
that's right.
Like we broke the framework, right? We thought out of the box, right? Because if some of us look back at our speeches, you'll see that, right? We
Yeah.
wouldn't start the speech the same way that everyone would, right? Like if you ask someone how would you start a speech, they'll be like rhetorical questions, bring in a quote, bring in stats, this, that, and the other. But
Yeah.
we'll bring a touch of ourselves to it. We'll bring a story, we'll dance on stage, right? We've done
Oh,
that in
yeah,
our
I
speeches,
remember that.
right? You've seen me do that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've seen
from
Kavi dancing while giving a speech on stage and
so
won.
yeah, so that's bringing out different, and I want yes. So that's I think about the creativity and how people accept that change as well.
Yeah.
Like because even the audience is used to seeing the same thing over and over and over again. පරිප්පුව හැමදාම එකක් දිරහන නැහැ. So just like that,
Yeah.
there needs
Yeah.
to be change. එකම
Yeah.
පරිප්පුව හැමදාම එකක් දී. So
Yeah, that's right.
when you bring that change, they accept it as well because it's something
Yeah.
different. They're like, whoa, I haven't seen this before, right? So it's about being yourself, bringing yourself onto stage as well, and in whatever things you do, like just like Ashi said, from the smallest thing to the biggest thing that you do, it's about
Yeah.
being true to yourself, being sincere and genuine, right? Because life experiences also have nurtured us in different ways. All of us have a different story that we carry with us, and I think that also creates a brand for ourselves. Like this person is this because of the life he has gone through in
Yeah.
life,
So,
right? So we need to bring all that together and push our creativity forward.
yeah, with that,
Yeah, so you were
Kavi,
gonna
I
say.
think we have come closer to end the episode one. But before we go, since you brought up this factor about going forward with creativity, the latest example all of us can relate to is this. I hope it's okay to mention the name. How Shashi Nishadi come into place, right? With this PUBG games playing, but everybody was playing games all these years, but she came up with this crazy
The budget
idea.
has
I know people, I see a lot of criticism also going on, like, what's there to watch? Sometimes, yes, you go like, what's there to watch? But haven't all of you like gone and checked it out, like what's happening? And she, because of her creativity.
Now, if you just go for a sake, if you go and watch a video and look at the comments, see 101 people scolding her. Same 101 people are watching her as well.
Watching it,
right?
Yes, exactly.
That's the irony as well. So they are scolding it, but they're watching it as well. And every day they keep watching it, and every day they keep scolding as well. So there's no loss for the person who's doing it.
Yeah.
But it's the creativity.
I think
which
she's, in my perspective, she's so creative, and whoever the person who's behind the whole set is so creative to bring up, because look at the numbers she's earning for a day just because of that creativity and that dance, like Ekabar, kind of crazy. So I think you and I also
Yeah.
should come up with a dance for this podcast, Kavi, shall we?
Season 3, we can do a little bit of dancing into ourselves as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that as well.
So just like we were talking, just in order to wrap up today's episode, while Kavi comes, I would like to say, how important creativity is. To become creative, it takes a lot of thinking also sometimes. So it's all about, when you keep thinking about the word creativity, that might not come to you initially, but do not go to thinking into technicalities, a lot of into detail, but just think, what do you want to do in your life? Are you doing it right? And what do you really want to achieve through that? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. What am I doing? Am I doing it right? For whom am I doing it? And if I do it right now, what will be the result? So these are things that you have to consider. And like I said, creativity comes where your love is. So your love for any career, your passion, wherever your passion is, think through it, your creativity will come, and stick to it. So once you put a goal in whatever the area that you love, the perseverance, be consistent. Every day when you put up your task, imagine, okay, if I do this task today, will it lead me to achieve the goal I have set for myself? And if not, find a creative way. Okay, if this is a long trek, how do I do it in a very short period of time? Or if this is a very short one, and if I want to get it done in a different way, and in your run, there might be somebody who does the same thing. It doesn't matter. If you're doing it differently, that's where you stand out. So this is a message that we are trying to drive throughout this season, literally. So that's what Kavi and I also wanted to have a chat today. So today's episode was all about, giving an introduction and putting that foundation to get start off with our season 3, AIESEC podcast season 3, Creativity Without Constraints. So let me give you an idea about the speakers. I'm not going to mention the names, just like we've said, it's going to be a curious factor. We don't want to kill the buzz, rather. So along with that, I would like to tell you, we're going to bring personalities, icons of Sri Lanka in different industries, especially. We're going to touch upon social, entertainment, education, business, management, art, entrepreneurship, sports, and many more. You never know who we bring here for our episodes in this season 3. So they're all going to come and talk about how creativity has helped them to take them forward, take their profession and their career forward, and how they've actually gone up to become icons. So when you say icon, if you take somebody, a singer, the latest example, how Yohani came up. So if there are so many singers in Sri Lanka, but how do you really stand out? You do something different in a different way. Now, that song also, just because I mentioned it, Manike Magehite was a hit. It wasn't her original song. It was a cover song, but she sang it differently. That's a best example. It might be something that everyone's doing in the field, but if you do it differently, there's high potential you're going to reach the pinnacle. Okay, you're back, Kavi.
Yes, yeah. Apologies on that.
Okay, this is why technology can't really be creative because they work for a certain algorithm. They just can't sense our creativity and work towards it. So yeah, good point. We can never trust
and
technology.
you shouldn't trust technology as well. And when working with technology, you need to always expect the unexpected.
Oh yes. Sure.
You should.
So, Kavi, we have actually come to the end of our episode 1. So, why don't we cover the areas to mention a little bit about the areas that we'll be covering throughout the next 11 episodes of AIESEC podcast season 3. We'll be covering towards the fields of social, entertainment, education, business, management, art, entrepreneurship, sports, and many more industries. Just like Kavi and I said, we're not going to reveal the speakers as of yet. Yeah, but we don't want to kill the buzz. So with that, shall we end today's episode, Kavi? Good conversation we had. We had a great conversation, and what we want to say is stay tuned and also get in touch with the AIESEC all pages on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Yes.
Should we go like karana, share karana, comment karana?
Train up, being creative. Right, and
Being
do watch out
creative.
for this space. Watch out for this space because we are gonna give you like it's gonna be a whole lot of 11 more seasons, 11 more episodes rather, with different personalities sharing their points of view, their opinions on creativity, and inspiring the youth, everyone who is listening to us and watching us both, because it's a podcast as well, right? A lot of
Yes.
students will be taking this live and delivering it to the audience out there. So do watch out for their space and stay tuned with Isaac Sri Lanka podcast, season 3, Creativity Without Constraints.
Yeah, this is organized by production of the national showcasing team of AIESEC Sri Lanka. So if you have any comments, put us in the comment sections and tell us if we have something to improve. Also, give us feedback and anything that you want to know. Anything that you want to know. Also, just just like I said, comment karana, share karana. like like karana, subscribe karana. It's AIESEC Sri Lanka, ladies and gentlemen, presenting you the podcast season 3, Creativity Without Constraints. So with that, we mark the end of episode 1 with the hope of coming to you with 11 more episodes. So my name is Ashinsani Veer Singha.
And I'm Kavesh Kaporera, your moderators for season 3 of podcasts.
Thank you for joining with us. Bye-bye.
Stay safe.